Have you ever wondered how landlords and property managers avoid vacancies? It seems like there's always rooms listed for rent, but they disappear so quickly. In this video, I'm going to go over 6 steps that I've seen and done personally to pretty much make sure that you're going to be able to rent out your place in 48 hours or less. They're used over and over and over again. If you follow the simple formula, you'll be able to rent out your room, rent out your apartment very, very, very quickly. Let's go. If you guys are enjoying this type of video, please make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel for future videos similar to this one. All right, step 1, how do they get the person to begin with? Well, step number 1 is have a specific advertisement that only a certain person, and I mean about 5% or 10%, will qualify. If you have an advertisement that's very, very specific on who it's reaching, who it wants, the people who are not part of that very small select category will hopefully, and I say hopefully, disqualify themselves and not reach out to you. And I say hopefully because sometimes people read the title of the advertisement, the phone number, and call immediately. You can't avoid those. That's life. Some people were just idiots and want to call everybody. But if you have a very specific advertisement outlining what you want, what you do not want, what is allowed, what is not allowed, if you have those very, very strict parameters and keep your standards really high, you will have a very, very high quality tenant. All right, number 2 is only answer phone calls. No text messages, no emails, nothing other than a good old-fashioned phone chat. First off, there are so many scams. How many people have asked for money from me when it regards to the room? Wiring money back and forth, scam, scam, scam. Avoid that at all costs. When someone calls me, I know that they're serious, they're most likely ready to go, and they're probably someone I'm actually going to want to talk to. Phone calls can help you understand who they are, what they're doing with life, whether they are the right person or not the right person. It'll help you get some insight on what kind of person they are. A text message or email cannot do that at all. And the next third step is have a specific list of deal breaker questions. These are really important. 2 deal breaker questions I ask every single person. Do you have the first month's rent and security deposit ready today? So if you're renting out a room for $500 a month, they need to have $500 a month, as well as the security deposit I collect is an additional $500. Whatever the monthly rent is, I do that for a security deposit. So $500 is $1,000. I ask them, do you have $1,000 saved up right now today? And if the answer is anything other than a resounding yes, I politely say, this may not work out. I appreciate you reaching out though. Some may say that is harsh, but the reality is it's not harsh. It's reality. Reality is this. If you don't pass these certain parameters on the test, you do not get the A. If you fail, you don't get the room. That's how it works. It's called having standards. And so much of our world is now people demanding something as opposed to earning something. This is not anything other than having a high standard and not letting up. I've realized this. The higher my standards are, the more likely I'm going to have a very, very high caliber person. And that's the kind of person I want to rent to. How about you? All right, so question number 1, do they have the money ready? If they have the money ready, then we can move on. If they do anything other than yes, if they say next week, next paycheck, borrowing money, stealing money, whatever it is, the excuse, I don't want to hear it. Because that excuse may carry into our relationship now. I am not here to pay anyone else's bills, nor do I expect anyone to pay my bills. So if their money's not ready, pass. Simply tell them this. It sounds like you're not quite ready. When you're ready with the money, give me a call back and we can talk. I've done that dozens of times. No one has ever called back because the reality is that person is usually not fiscally responsible and I'm not about to adopt anyone's money issues. And then question number 2 is, how long have you worked at your current job? I do my best to only rent to people who have worked at the same job for at least 6 months. Not because I'm worried about the job hopping. I'm worried about if you can't hold down the job, if you, for some reason, are not being able to hold down a job, what does that say about your ability to follow through on your obligations? Someone who can follow through on job obligations can usually follow through on their rent obligations as well. And that is exactly what I want. If they are unemployed, if they are just starting a new job, if they switch jobs every 3 or 4 months, that's something I'd need to dig a little further on. If they're moving to if they're moving to your area for a new job, that makes sense. If they've lived in the area and they have to switch jobs or are fired or whatever it may be, probably not a situation I want to deal with. All right, step 4 is send the rental application immediately after the phone call and tell them I need this back by the end of the day. You want to continue to plant the sense of urgency. Have you ever seen any of those banner ads on website that say, deal expires today, 48-hour flash sale, deal expires in 20 minutes? Yeah, that's developing urgency within you, so hopefully you can buy, they will convince you to buy today, not later. The same thing with the room. You want to make sure they are having a sense of urgency. If they're just, oh, well, when I get to it, this, that, and the other, they're not ready to rock and roll. I want someone who's ready to rock and roll today. Someone who is as we would call it, a piping hot lead. A prospect who's ready to go today. That's why they have to have the money, they have to have the job situation right, and they need to fill out that rent application full with plenty of references, and then we can go forward. Until they follow step 1, 2, 3, 4, they can't make it in. I need to see that they can be a compliant renter/tenant. If they cannot be compliant, again, that means they're probably not going to listen to my instructions or my rules. I want someone who's going to be compliant and follow the rules. Because the people who are rebellious, like myself, do not do well in a room rental situation, ever. I've had a couple of those roommates, let me tell you, it was a head-butting fest. It was issues, way too many issues. It was not fun for anybody. So make sure you find people who are compliant, and make sure when you send that rental app, develop a sense of urgency. Will you send it back into business today? I have lots of other phone calls. Urgency, urgency, urgency in everything. All right, 5 is schedule a showing for one opening, which you only have one room, one apartment, whatever it is, which develops scarcity, and invite multiple people to come at that same time. This competition factor and scarcity, people rent like clockwork. I saw this firstly going with my friend who was having a tough time in life. So I went and we arrived, and we were not, and we walked up to this lady and said, "Hey, are you Jen, the property manager?" I said, "No, I'm not Jen." And another person pulled up. "Oh, are you?" "No, not Jen either." So they had Jen, very, very skillful property manager, had not one, not two, but 3 different prospective tenants go to this one place. Now, if that's not competition, I don't know what is. And then one by one, she would do this. She would bring the first person, spend about 5 or 10 minutes, leave the other couple outside. So you had to sit there staring at your competition, looking at your competition and seeing that there's only one room left. There's only one apartment left. And that's it. Out of the 3 of us, only one is getting it. When you make the others wait outside, oh my gosh, the amount of urgency that creates is crazy. And then once we were inside, after our eagerness, I wasn't even renting the place, but I was like, I want to rent this place, man. The competition was crazy. This is the exact word she said. "If you are chosen, will you be able to bring the security deposit and first month's rent to the office tomorrow morning and sign the lease?" No messing around at all. And you can obviously know what the answer to all 3 people were. I wasn't there for the other 2, but the answer was, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll have that ready tomorrow." My friend even said, "I'll be ready. I'll have it ready today." Talk about some urgency, right? Pairing that scarcity of only one opening with 3 people, and Jen, the property manager, gosh, he was really good, even told us that these 3 weren't the only ones. She had another showing in a couple hours for the exact same place. So much competition for one opening, that scarcity as well as that competition, oh boy, you're going to rent that place like this. All right, so you've developed this huge bit of scarcity, the huge bit of urgency. These 3 people that you talk to are hopefully going to be only high quality people, and renting to any 3 of them would be a good thing. So step 6 is make a decision on who will be the tenant that same day. Call them, again, that same day, usually within a couple hours, and schedule them to bring the money and sign the new lease that next morning every single time. You may even ask them, can they do it today? Come to the office a little bit later. When you develop that sense of urgency with someone, they are going to come. They're going to come sign that lease. They're going to bring in the money, because once they hit that, I may not be chosen, that fear of missing out, that FOMO becomes so strong, they have to rent the place. Because at that point, they're thinking in their mind, well, I've already spent, half a day off of work. I've already filled out the rental application. I've already looked at this place. I might as well just follow through on this. And they most likely will follow through. If on that phone call, they're unsure about bringing you the money or signing the lease that same day or the next day, remind them, so smart, remind them of the multiple other tenants that are looking at it. And that if you're not able to say yes right now, the opportunity is going to be missed. The scarcity. You have to make a decision right now. Remember those banners? 1-day sale. This offer ends in 15 minutes. It's that scarcity tactic that makes property managers have so much success in filling these places. Because in their shoes, the more vacancies they have, the less money they make. The more filled rooms they have, they make their fee, and then the landlord gets the money. That makes landlords happy, so they're going to rehire them as a property manager, and they get their placement fee. So they want to place people as quickly as possible. And using these tactics, I've used a couple of these myself. You will begin to rent your places within 48 hours. I've had a couple rooms. No joke. Posted the ad in the morning at, I don't know, 7 a.m. By 2 or 3 p.m., I already had people coming over, and I already had someone putting the money down by the end of business, 4 or 5 p.m. When you create that urgency, create that scarcity, but you don't want to make your standards low. Keep your standards high. The higher your standards are, the more people are going to bite and be a good tenant. Well, those are 6 steps that property managers and landlords are definitely using every day. Have you ever been the business end of the side of these? Have you ever been the willing victim to these tactics? I'm curious. Leave a comment below. I will catch you guys in the next one, and happy landlording.